Apologies, Jasper. Thank you. Thank you very much. Look, we only started 3 months ago, and it was just really started through a compulsion that I felt that I needed to do. Both from a biblical worldview and from things that I was seeing that weren't being addressed properly. So, in initiating it, it's evolved somewhat from where we first started. And in a very short space of time, we've gone from trying to unite people on mandates to trying to find solutions for various things, and looking for other vehicles that are doing similar things so that we can synergize them across South Africa. And that's already happening, that we're finding people that are working on similar projects. And also in uniting South Africa, so contributing to that. And we're in talks across the country with a lot of big groups, a lot of influential players, to try and bring synergy and unity. So my feeling is that Christians need to re-inhabit the space that we vacated, in essence. So if we look at our constitution honors God. But for some other reason, it's instead of empowering us, it's being used to disempower us. And I think we need to step up to the plate, and we need to start taking the authority which has been given to us. And I see Christians across the board coming together and uniting. And that's very encouraging. I think that's where the future lies. And if we come together and honor Him, God will fight for us. And our role, as I said, would be seen in connecting and contributing to uniting, contributing to finding solutions, and amalgamating with others in the field that are doing similar things, so that instead of we're not here about ourselves. We're here to strengthen our alliance partners. We're here to promote them, and we're here to reach out to everybody who wants to join hands with us in both unity and work with us to contribute to finding solutions. And this platform particularly is pretty much all about that, is about looking for different solutions in South Africa and trying to synergize them so that we can work together. And very encouraged to you everything that's going on this platform, and certainly I think together we're going to make an impact in this country. Thank you, Asper.
Thanks, Paulo. Theo from Kanetu, give us your view.
Yeah, Jasper, I think from my side and our side, I mean, we really want to allow the technology that we have to empower communities and uplift people who do not have instruments in their hands that can benefit them in an economic and financial way, to achieve that. And then obviously with that, establishing an alternative economy as that become a requirement. So that's where we are as a company to serve. But I do think, as I said right in the beginning, when we started this when you started this initiative and invited all of us together, that one of the things that I do find is going to be very important is to understand practically on the ground, who's going to be the hands and feet that are going to execute this initiative. Because there's a good a number of people on this call with various amazing backgrounds. But I also do know that many of us, have other responsibilities and we're all busy. So it's nearly like this group becomes, sort of a strategic think tank. But we are going to have to understand practically, what does that mean on the ground? And who's going to be responsible to go into these communities and then make available or start to implement some of the opportunities that this group can provide. So I think from that point of view, it would be good for me at some time going forward that we maybe spend some time just to understand, what does that mean operationally on the ground, and how do we start seeing that to happen?
Yeah, Theo, thanks. And I think that will be part of the discussion we have in 2 weeks' time. to say, how do we become practical? And I think part of that being practical is, for instance, that let's say between Gig and yourself, we have another offline meeting, and that Paulo maybe with his group have offline meetings with the various players, so that we can just drill in to understand what each organization is already doing and see if just at that level one can already start taking hands. But I think, Arno, you will be a big guide in terms of your project essay and having traveled through the country to maybe identify potential pilot communities and bring that to the table. So yeah, so Theo, I think also that you can refresh my memory, but that one app of yours, did you say lifestyle app, or what is that app? But I've got made a note here that could well become one of the drivers of getting the community to connect and open up. Maybe if you can just quickly refresh us, what is that app and what does it do?
Yeah, so the lifestyle app is definitely something that we believe can do that, Jasper. And the app is really to provide information seamlessly. And when I say you, this group can add menus and structure messages on there, seamlessly without having to republish the app. So the whole idea with the app going forward is that it becomes a community communication mechanism where you can obviously already do broadcast messages, but it also becomes a way where the community can communicate back, with questions or things that they need. So it becomes like a two-way communication going forward, but very much focused on the community and establishing relevant information for that community. And then some of the menu items could then go into what we call financial related, may it be an underlying new economic wallet, with its own currency. But the lifestyle app as a first layer is really about communicating information effectively, maybe getting people to subscribe to certain things where we need to gather information that can happen seamlessly, and then getting also feedback in a two-way conversation.
All right, now I can certainly see that playing out, and we'll still have to contact offline, just see how we can maybe start applying it, maybe even in the Gig community. All right, let's hear from Dave McAllister. You and your group, where do you stand with resolution, and where do you see that play out, and do you see a need to collaborate with Community SA?
Thanks, Jasper. Good afternoon, everybody. Sorry I was late. I must apologize. And I must apologize to you. I came in 15 minutes late, and your presentation was very, very interesting. You've obviously done a massive amount of work. If you don't mind, piggybacking on Theo's discussion now, I just asked Daniel just to step in here quickly, because it will tie in nicely what we're doing from Resolution SA as to what Theo was chatting about. So Daniel, if you wouldn't mind just discussing what we're doing on the IT side before I continue.
Sure, Dave. Thanks. Yes, I think Theo, just latching on to what you said now about the lifestyle app, I think it's really important that we look at what we're doing from Resolution SA, where we're really putting in a shared service platform that engages directly with the communities. And going back to the point where how does this pan out at grassroots level? So from a Resolution SA's standpoint, we are engaging with mainly, one of our main stakeholders is the residents associations. That's below what we would call below the platform. And above the platform, we see local government and national and provincial, for that matter, where it touches us as another stakeholder. So we see our platform really as connecting those two worlds, and then ultimately servicing the residents who live inside the communities. So, and though the focus is service delivery, the community aspect is also very important, and it's all about communication. Because one of the issues on the at ground level is, there's so much misinformation going around. If there's a water outage, we find that there's old problems being surfaced on WhatsApp groups, and people, if you don't know what the truth is and what the reality is, people get more upset than what they should be, and there's no feedback as to what is happening, how is it being addressed. And our platform aims to get to a point where that communication, where it becomes a single source of truth, that everybody knows that's a place where they can go to, where they can not only log problems but also get feedback around what the problems are. So practically, the matters like power outages and water outages that's really affecting the residents, that's where we see our role as Resolution SA play out. So it's very important that we understand how do we connect, for instance, with Kaneertu, that's got the lifestyle app that also has a communication aspect, and we need to. I actually have it on my list to reach out to you and sort of get closer together to understand how we can work together rather than duplicate functionality. So I hope that answers it. Dave, would that be a fair
Daniel, thank
review?
You always communicate that side so much better than me, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much. So, Jasper, from my side, I've been dealing with the marketing side of the IT platform, and behind the IT platform, we have people that have been working in the community for as individuals between 8 and 20 years. So they have a lot of insight and knowledge about community work. The one thing I do find is that it seems like a massive task, but once you start putting feelers out there, you start realizing that there are a lot of people in the community that are willing to help, and they are a hell of a knowledgeable in certain areas that you think you don't have any expertise in, and they're willing to come forward and share. My difficulty is trying to join a fragmented community, and in our area we have informal settlements, we have small holdings, we have farming areas, we have exceptionally wealthy estates, we have medium estates, we have small estates, we have standalone houses, residential houses. So we in a very affluent area, we have a complete mix in 4 ways of communities. So my major concern and difficulty is, how do we access those communities, first of all? How do we communicate what we're trying to do? How do we get them to buy in to what we're doing? And I do believe that a platform like Community SA brings a whole lot of people together that have already solved some of those solutions. So Jasper, once again, I thank you for putting this all together, and I do believe that going forward, we will be able to lean on each other and glean information, and communication is going to be a critical aspect of this entire setup. So I think for the discussion going forward, how do we give communities tools, and who are those leaders going to be in those communities, are going to be critical. So thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Yeah, and success with your new focus of resolution. And I do see that play out very well and very practically. But your question is relevant. Is how do we communicate as suppliers and players, and how do we communicate with our target market or the communities? And for that, I'm leaning heavily on my key man there, and that's Gavin. And he's also very involved in his own community. So Gavin, what are your thoughts on what we're doing?
Sorry, I had my mic in the wrong place. Don't have a lot to add. I mean, everybody's very keen and got lots of toys to play with. But I do believe that until we actually have next week, the next meeting, where we show off what we can do and how we believe we can solve the problem of us solving communication, making things available to communities and so on. When we get that sort of stuff started, I think things are going to get exciting. So I'm looking forward to the next meeting.
All right, thanks. Yeah, so that's one thing. Gavin's got lots of toys up his sleeve, and I think that him and Daniel and Theo will play nicely together. All right, then when it comes to thinking holistically about world economics and how to make it all work well and play out, I'm leaning heavily on Jason and his insight on that, who's also the CEO of our bank. So Jason, maybe a final thought from you?
Hi, Jasper. Yes, sorry, I was just late for the meeting, but yeah, I don't have too much to add at this stage. I just think as a nation, we are quite awake. I'm just becoming so aware of so many similar type of groupings coming to life all across the country, and that's very gladdening. So this is not a minority movement. I think people are quite aware of the challenges that lie ahead, and that they need to organize themselves. So I think going forward, we will meet many new people and groupings, and yeah, so I think it's good just to continue this discussion and to strategize. So you know, I have quite a lot of connections in Europe, and people there panic about stuff that I think we've already, even if it's just in our mind and psychologically, started to deal with. So I think the problems we've experienced the past decade in the country has really been, in a sense, a blessing in disguise, you know, preparing us to start taking responsibility as individuals within communities. So yeah, I think it's good that we have these discussions. Yeah, so I'm just going to end off there. Thanks, Jasper.
All right, thanks, Jason. So I think we've given everyone a chance. Arno, I'm going to close then with you. A final vision of yourself and how you see things play out, and how should we prepare ourselves for our discussion in 2 weeks' time?
Yeah, Jasper, thank you. I think to help with that question, I just want to link up with what Theo said. Yes, Theo, I think this will be a kind of a strategic group, but also we need to create something to go with, to take to the communities. So that's why I agree, you know, about what will be coming out of from next week onwards, so, or next time onwards. So yeah, so it's strategic, but also something to take to the communities. I think all of us have networks and contacts in communities, but we need to have something, especially regarding the financial aspects. Yeah, there's huge economic solutions we need to take with us to the community. And yeah, I think the time is perfect for that.
All right, thanks, guys, everyone, for participating, and take an hour out of your fast schedule. And have a blessed week and 2 weeks until we meet again. So we'll meet 2 weeks from now. I'll get an invite out to everybody, and I'll also send you that video of Ian, so that you can also see what he was doing. And then start thinking and preparing yourself to say, okay, how do we make this practical? Because in the end, it's not about how much you talk, but what are you doing? And in doing and in cooperating and collaborating together, we will get to know each other's strength. Like Jason has said, we will then also start being connected with some smaller but even national entities out there already working so that slowly but surely the body can find the other members, and we can become a force to be reckoned with going forward, so that we can counter what's currently the prevailing narrative in media and in politics, and it's not the truth. So have a great time. God bless you. We'll see you soon.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Jasper.
Jasper.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all.
Everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Jasper. Cheerio.